Live and hot.
Live and alive. Alive because we're live. Man, you put these sea salt potato chips on my desk. I'm demoing this. This is like breakfast, lunch, and dinner over here. I gotta move it like out of arm's reach.
Good times.
Honestly, came in handy. I'm rushing in here and I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't even need to grab a bagel. I got Will's chips over there.
Yeah. You claimed it. Remember?
I just gobbled it all. I just went like that. Boom. I'll take that. No problemo.
None for us. Just pointing it out there.
Listen, dude. You put something that close to me.
Yeah.
That's that addictive? I don't think it ain't gonna make it out alive, I'll tell you that.
Well, the sharing desk is also your desk. That area right there.
That's an interesting metaphor. The sharing desk is your desk.
And you also claim things.
You could put, I guess there could be maybe if there was like another table over there.
We should do that.
Or like there's that table over there. I don't even know what happens on that table.
Yeah, but no one goes there.
I mean, I have a feeling if snacks were over there, people might go there.
It's a dark area.
Like,
okay,
that's the kind of the beauty of a snack. It brings people together. You know, people will seek that out. Like my dog gets up in the morning, and goes. My dog, you look, find anything.
Yeah.
You kidding? If something fell on the floor. Oh.
Yeah. She's got it.
She ain't gonna miss. I'll tell you. I gotta go. Hey.
And then she rolls over.
She goes, yeah. It rolls upside down instantly. It's kind of like, it's not quite playing dead, but it's not far from it. You know that, like when an animal knows they got, and they just
pure
go.
Submission.
They just go, this is my best chance. My best chance. That's it.
Yeah.
Some of them, they go like so stunned.
Yeah.
That they just, they do a good job of convincing the predator that some of them, that's their actual defense. Boom.
Yeah.
I'm dead. I'm trying to think, an animal did that to me, right? I can't remember what species it was. I encountered a species and it just froze, but it wasn't dead. Maybe it was a turtle. I don't know what it was.
Turtle?
Does a turtle play dead? No, a turtle goes in the shell.
Isn't it like a goat?
A frog, a frog might play dead.
Oh, yeah.
It must have been a frog. Well, the goat is famous, but I didn't encounter a goat in the wild, Will.
No?
Why is there's a goat in my backyard? Yeah, they got all these interesting techniques, man. But that's the other thing. Is this like a defense mechanism? Does it actually work, or does it just make the process of getting killed easier?
Maybe.
Like, go ahead and do it already. Go right for the jugular. Be efficient with it.
Well, if the predator was smart enough.
Well, I feel like the predators know what to do, right?
Yeah.
Like,
this is not a very good idea.
If I'm a goat predator, I don't know, what do I have? Big teeth or something, and the goat's just there playing dead.
Yeah.
What do? I just sink into the jugular, don't I? Right? Like I hit
enough.
Well, I don't know. Like, actually, no. See, that's the thing. The jugular is when they're trying to kill it. But when the coyotes or the wolves catch it, they don't eat it from the neck first. They eat it from the other end.
The butt?
Well, that's the word on the street. That's the word in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Harsh realities, man.
I heard wild dogs do that.
Listen.
Yeah.
It's a harsh world out there. I think sometimes we got to remember what humans got going on, and not really, obviously we could be jerks sometimes, but like also a lot of the times the traffic flows and you look side to side, you go, damn, how the hell are we all getting along at all?
Yeah.
Because we're all a bunch of weirdos, and yet we're just cruising, and yet we're just, oh, thank you, sir. That was me.
I tap my phone, I get a hamburger.
Well, I try to get the car wash, right? Because I got to keep charging this thing now that I got by the way, I love those winter tires.
Yeah. Maybe you tell the people which ones.
I put winter tires on the Model S, and I had low expectations because the car is has obviously nice performance, and I was like, I was worried about road noise because the snow doesn't sit on the ground here. It just like they plow it, and then the sun comes out, and then you're back to pavement. And so a lot of complaints on winter tires is that, the benefit in the snow is the drawback on the road noise, handling, whatever else. But I got these Michelins on there, and even though the road is now cleared up, I'm like, these things feel great. Like I'm not even really bothered.
There's confidence there.
I think that's what I have is right there. I believe that's what I have. It's weird the way they're calling it here on tires.ca, Pilot Sport AS. I think it stands for Alpine, all season. No, see, that's the all season. AS means all season. I don't think that's the one I have.
Okay.
I think you got to go to type ALPIN. PIN. Yeah, just that. That's
Alpine?
it. Yeah, PA4. This is what I got right here. Even in the snow as well, like it's doing the double duty. So in the snow as well, I'm up on top of the snow and I'm gripping, man. And I know I got 4-wheel drive and I got other things going on, but good Lord, I'm loving this tire right now.
Cool.
Winter performance, winter control, and braking is what I have going on. And it's interesting. It says M+S, and it also has, look at the different badges it has. So it has the mountain badge, which is to do, I presume, with temperature rating. Like, so it stays soft, doesn't become a hockey puck, I'm guessing. Or is that like altitude? We can probably find out. That's mud and snow. So like, I'm not that I'm going to be off-roading. Maybe I would. No, the ground clearance. And obviously winter. See if you can find out what that mountain badge at the beginning means over there. 3 p.m. SF. I think you could maybe just do Control F on the page. Might be faster. 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol. Provide improved snow traction beyond a standard M+S. It goes beyond that. However, we might as well get to the bottom of it. When you find that symbol on the side of a tire, it indicates the tire meets certain U.S. Tire Manufacturer Association requirements for severe snow conditions. Help you identify a tire that will provide traction on packed snow. And that's what I experienced. Is like, I went into some unplowed areas and I didn't fear for nothing, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm in a sedan with barely any ground clearance and like a front lip on it. So, what am I saying? I don't know. I guess what I mean is maybe this is a blessing in disguise that I now have a new Model S appreciation for what it can do in the snow with the right tires on it. And I should have known that because actually the first time I ever drove a Model S was at a demo in the snow where they were showing off what it could do in Toronto down at the exhibition. I don't know if you know about this.
No, I saw the video.
This is 1,000 years ago. I feel like I was wearing a leather jacket. Like it's 1,000 years ago. And they were sitting there saying, you don't have a Tesla yet? And they were sitting there saying, why don't you take a crack? Look what it can do in the snow. Which I did. And it's funny, it took me this many years to do the same thing myself, put those tires on it.
Tire tech.
And have myself a time out there. I mean, that was the P85D. I was launching it in cold weather.
Yeah. 7 years ago.
I told you, man, it was 1,000 years ago. Look at you, still got all the chrome trim pieces and stuff. It's funny that this model is relatively unchanged when you think about it. I mean, obviously the interior, things moved around, the display shifted and everything else. But like those door handles popped out, the shape is roughly there. And you can see the road conditions are trash. And all the people from Tesla were like, yeah, man, boot it. Let's go. It's like, all right, closed track. Fine. So I was launching that thing, man. Amazing. Been going on for a minute or two.
Fun.
Anyway, here I am in 2023, finally putting snow tires on my Model S and using it in the winter because of what? Because of car theft. What an interesting and weird. Go ahead and announce this story, Will. I'm gonna have one last chip. All right.
Apple's $600 M2 Mac Mini obliterates the $6,000 Mac Pro. That's crazy. We should test it out.
Listen, this happens all the time. The Mac Pro is such a terrible ROI. And we get reminded of it every single time a new consumer product comes out with Apple's latest stuff in it before a refresh happens to the Pro level thing, which happens far less frequently, as we're aware. And it's the cost of entry, the price of entry on the Mac Pro is so much higher to begin with that people start making these comparisons because guess what? It's still being sold in its previous configuration at the moment for whatever 10x on this other stuff. And people sit there and look at it and go, this is absurd because they're checking all these benchmarks and realizing that in most circumstances, the consumer stuff is actually outdoing the pro stuff. Now, obviously, there's use cases where that's not the case. But for, these comparisons start to come out and they go, listen, what you really want for many, many people is to upgrade the consumer stuff. Or, Apple still calls it Pro in some cases. This obviously takes it a step further and goes all the way to the Mac Mini. But I consider that consumer stuff because it's refreshed more frequently. You're better off just moving through those products at a more consistent pace in most cases, as opposed to getting into the Mac Pro universe and then watching your investment tumble to zero.
And there's also the Mac Studio, too.
Mac Studio is the in-between. I know they're going to do a new Mac Pro, but it's never going to be on that refresh cycle where it's constantly experiencing the latest in Mac components. Now, as soon as the refresh happens, that new Mac Pro is going to be blazing, obviously, and everyone's going to go, okay, let me pull out my credit card. But at the moment, here we have a comparison to a $600 Mac Mini, even more proof. M2 Mac Mini tested using in single-core and multi-core operations compared to the Intel-based Mac Pro. Unsurprisingly, the news is all bad for the expensive 2019 workstation. Two very telling benchmarks. The Mac Mini would still lose against the Mac Pro in different tests. However, in the Geekbench 5 test, very CPU-centric test, the Mac Mini scored 1944 in single-core and 8790 in multi-core versus the Intel Mac Pro, which only managed to hit 1,019 and 8,037 respectively. It is a huge blow to the 2019. The people will use these things, these Mac Pros, and this is no joke, until they're basically worthless. The current trade-in value on these things in the hundreds of dollars, even though the initial cost in close to 10,000, depending on configuration. So again, I don't know what people do with their lives and their line of work, but I think in 2023, the vast majority of individuals are probably going to do better off long-term through some sort of upgrade cycle of the less expensive, better kind of cost to performance ratio products as opposed to the pro level. This is an interesting one. It caught my attention mostly because I saw a stack of MacBooks, and my mind can't seem to pass up any type of tech sandwich when the tech is sandwiched together, whether it's smartphones or laptops, or I presume tablets would have the same effect on me. In this case, we see a stack of, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 MacBooks there. Maybe not that many. Between the two stacks.
Okay.
That could be 20. And it's MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros, and they all look pretty recent, and they all look in good condition. But you can see on top of one of them is a sticky note which says, locked scrap, and then an exclamation point. Essentially what is happening here is that Apple's activation lock is so effective that in many cases, there is no feasible or straightforward way to unlock working laptops that are no longer in use. And I'm not talking about stolen. What happens in these circumstances is you have many companies that actually would purchase a ton, maybe dozens of MacBooks for employees. And the way that expenditures work in the corporate world, they may budget a certain amount of cash for an upgrade cycle, and then they have these leftovers. And different recycling firms will come in there and actually purchase these leftovers in hopes that they can turn a value from it and find a new home for somebody to still get some use out of these. As you can see, they're not that old. However, since it's very difficult for the interaction between the recycler and the individuals that all had these things registered, and there's also confidentiality issues and so forth, what ends up happening in practice is often a lot different than what you might hope, which is that these activation locks mean that these computers are stripped and not used. Logic boards are removed from them, and the rest is basically scrapped, and they have to be turned into Frankenstein-type scenarios where things are getting posted. And essentially, it's a really, yes, there is still some degree of usefulness to it, and it's still worthwhile for the recyclers, but it's a bit upsetting that it doesn't just go right into use for somebody who could put it into use in its current formula. And so essentially what's being proposed here is that more of the emphasis lands on Apple to figure out a way to alleviate these activation locks in these specific scenarios where it's like a corporate account and it's like 100 machines coming from one place to a recycler and not stolen. Now, obviously, there's going to be complications and difficulties with that because there's always going to be bad actors. There's always going to be people misrepresenting the source of these particular things. However, it is a bit of a shame, and obviously it creates unnecessary waste, and many of these components end up not being used in the most efficient manner, which would be to go right back into full-scale use. Here we have a new tweet from Ice Universe identifying a very interesting specification for the upcoming S23 Ultra, saying it is now confirmed that we have a peak 1750 nit brightness on the Ultra model. As you can see in this spec sheet outlined below, 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X display with vision booster, maximum screen brightness 1750 nits. Actually, the 1750 nits is across the board, S23 Ultra, Plus, and regular S23. Obviously, they also all feature 120 hertz refresh. Some other specifications in this list: 12 megapixel selfie, 12 megapixel ultra wide. Of course, we have this new 200 megapixel wild sensor that's going to show up on the Ultra model, which you're going to be able to configure in different ways depending if you want better low light performance and lower resolution, or if you want absolutely insane resolution. 10 megapixel on 2 telephoto lenses on the Ultra model, and 10 megapixel single telephoto on the other two. 5,000 milliamp hours, no real surprise on the Ultra. Then 4,700 and 3,900 for the smallest. Storage looks to be 256 on the base, and then all the way up to a 1 terabyte option on the Ultra model. The other two stop at 512. 12 gigs of RAM reserved only for the Ultra in a particular specification, and the other two will only get 8 gigs. Obviously, the last piece is the S Pen, which is included on the Ultra. Now, 1750 nits of maximum screen brightness. We don't know what the implementation will be. If it will be a manual type of input where you can just drag that baby and have it output the blazing 1750 nits on demand, or if it's going to be one of these boosts that occur in direct sunlight.
We should do a test.
There's been different implementations. We did buy the nit meter, nit reader, and so there is a way of us performing our own test. There is slight variance. What we did notice in our last time that we tested such things was we did see an increase in output on many manufacturers when exposed to daylight, at which point it would then go to another level of brightness, almost as though the manufacturer is aware of the downsides of using that degree of brightness unless it's absolutely necessary.
Maybe you think it's a battery issue or something?
Well, battery or heat or even eye health. You can imagine it in a dark room relative to your surroundings, the type of damage you could potentially do to yourself with the complete blazing thing. Now, obviously, there's all types of things that can damage humans. So from my standpoint, that's where the discipline comes into play. Stop blazing your eyeballs unless you need to. But I still like to have the option wherever possible. You never know the circumstance and why you might want to toggle your maximum nits at a given moment. A $1,250 Galaxy S23 Ultra. Here's how Samsung can justify that cost. Well, this remains to be seen whether it's truly possible to justify that cost in 2023. It is no price hike, but it's also no price drop. And there's all kinds of considerations relating to inflation and so forth that you maybe could have justified going higher, but I don't think they would have sold it if they did. So some may be speculating, I don't know, you got a soft smartphone marketplace. Do you sit and wait for the market to turn around, or do you pull a Tesla and come in with a price drop initially, just right out the gate and go, you're getting a better deal because we need to get these things into your hands, and we want to keep the volume going, because it's a really fine balance with the assembly line, the supply chain in general, the contracts that exist for the variety of components that go in here. You need to kind of hit your mark in terms of projecting the actual demand and gauging what the marketplace can bear. Otherwise, you end up with components and products that turn into losses, massive losses, if you can't find an audience for it. Even if Samsung holds the line on its pricing of its top-line phone, it'll still cost $100 more than the iPhone 14 Pro Max at a time when shoppers are watching every dollar. So how is the phone maker going to convince people that it's worth spending $1,200 or even more if the rumored price hikes happen on a phone? Well, okay. Obviously, they're going to heavily lean into this 200-megapixel camera. And I think what they're also going to do is have an MSRP at a particular price, but then also do some sort of pre-order deal as they've done in the past, where they may give you some free earbuds, or they may knock a few dollars off if you just get your money in quickly.
Or trade in.
They're going to do something. They're going to try to find a way to subsidize the initial funds to make it seem more attractive than it is, and to use some sort of crafty calculation where it's going to be like, what you're actually paying is, it's like how Tesla did with the gas savings, the projected gas savings, and then they just give you the price, and you're like, wait a second, you're already doing my savings, and that has nothing to do with you. I want to know, how much money are you asking me for? How much money are you asking me for?
I do find that helpful, though. The gas savings.
Okay, sure, but it should be a button that's unchecked by default.
Sure.
And then you check if you care to see it, and it should actually be separate out from the MSRP. It should be on a separate column. Like potential energy savings, or what, I don't know, however they want to propose it. But yes, I think this is one area where they have an edge on Apple, is this crazy zoom lens, right? As you can see from their unpacked February 1st thumbnail, it seems that they're showing off their camera lenses. So I think, especially with this new 200 megapixel sensor and how they're going to implement it, with the ability to actually shoot a lower resolution image, but actually absorb more light per pixel. Like this, depending again on the tech demo, this could be a compelling reason for people, or a chance for champion status. Maybe it'll be the best smartphone camera out right now. Have to wait and see. Well, does that justify $1,200 plus? For somebody, yes. For everybody, no. Audi's Activesphere EV concept is built for off-roading and augmented reality. You'd even drive wearing smart glasses. Okay, this thing was all over my feed. It is extremely cool looking. And the tire and wheel setup, it has me feeling like my Model S right now.
Yeah.
Where you have like a really sleek sedan looking thing, but you get a little more rubber on it. You know, like it's really, I don't know, it's weirdly appealing to me. Maybe I'll be the first guy to try to lift a Tesla Model S so it looks exactly like that. I mean, but this thing, how are you going to even look exactly? Look at this world premiere on this baby right here. Like, this is turning heads, man.
It looks so sleek.
They keep trying to figure out, how do we do sleek and rugged at the same time?
Yeah.
How do we go anywhere, but then also look amazing on the road? And it's weird how lines and shapes actually create that aura for us. Like somehow this does both. Somehow it looks sleek and fast. Somehow it looks elegant and sophisticated, but then at the same time, it looks mean and dirty. What a wonderful combination of things. The interior, extremely futuristic, red gradient, steering wheel, does it pop out?
It does. Yeah, the whole console comes out.
And we've seen this type of thing before. It looks as well like you have a pass-through so you can see. See, this is the thing you worry about, Will, when you're driving your Model 3. I can't see right below the bumper. I don't have the ultrasonics.
Yeah.
But if you look inside this vehicle, there's all types of visual pass-throughs, including that one below the windshield. So you can actually see just above the bumper.
Yeah, that's what it's made for.
Yeah, if you're going to run over a bike or something like this, obviously there's all kinds of smart systems to help you avoid that as well, I presume. But listen, everybody's pumped about this thing. Most of the specifications are still not available. This is a concept after all. This is one of those ones where I'm starting to feel that people have such a taste for the future that some concepts are actually coming to reality, or the items that or products that end up being made are closer than ever to concepts in 2023, which is a good thing, because once upon a time, they weren't even close.
They were far out.
The concept and what eventually got made, now this stuff.
I mean, this augmented reality. They want you to have a headset.
Well, listen, let's, listen, I appreciate the imagination and I appreciate the ambition. Okay, let's leave it at that. Most of the specifications are not available. However, Audi claims a range of more than 372 miles and a fast 270 kilowatt charging using an 800 volt architecture, of course. 100 kilowatt hour battery pack charged from 5% to 80 in 25 minutes, Audi says. This is the fourth model in Audi's Sphere electric concept line. The company kicked off the initiative with shape-shifting Sky Sphere Roadster in August 2021. I remember, we've seen these things continue to come through. It's going to take some time. The brand expects to dramatically expand its electric offerings by 2026. Well, we can see them. We can hold for them. We can hold off. I just hope that they end up being something close to the concept.
Yeah.
How America's pickups are changing. This is in relationship to the Ford F-150. I thought this was quite interesting, and I love a graphic. So this graphic does the best job ever of showcasing not just how the pickup truck has changed, but then also indicating changes in lifestyle and the pickup truck customer based on this particular change. What you're looking at is an average F-150 over the years, starting on the left-hand side from 1961 to 1979, and then on the right-hand side all the way up from 2015 to 2021. In other words, like modern right now. And what you'll notice as you look at this is a tremendous shift from how that wheelbase is being used. Roughly a similar wheelbase and length to the overall vehicle, as has always been the case. But what's changed is that all the space has moved into the cab and out of the bed. When trucks were primarily used for work, that bed space was critical. Well, never mind if it's being used on a farm or something. So the old school trucks that we all remember, often just a two-seater or a bench seat in the front, which could maybe fit three, and then 64% of the overall length then reserved for bed space, so you could load extremely long things in there. That, of course, is completely flipped now. It's almost a perfect flip. From 1979 up to now, 1961 to 79, all the way to the modern vehicle, which is now 63% in the front and only 37% in the back. And when you look at it like this, you realize how small that bed actually is.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying. Now, I know I have to go around with passengers, and passengers have to be comfortable, and I like trucks. So obviously, like, I'm buying the modern truck, but there is some sort of nostalgia for having like the real truck, which you can just load up the tail.
It's like a construction truck.
It's just so much space back there.
Contractor truck.
Just so much space back there.
Yeah.
And, you just don't see a lot of them at all. You can still order trucks that are not the crew cab four-door. They exist, but they are so rare when you look around. Even work trucks almost all have crew cabs now. Four doors.
Like a 5-seater.
Yes.
But why can't they have like the ability like the Silverado where they can actually fold down the back so like you can actually load stuff into the crew cab?
This is quite an interesting development. We love this stuff. Is now you're finding out ways, how can I get more bed when I need it and more cab when I need it? And how can I have the thing actually do both? So they are finding solutions, and innovation is there. And innovation, I've told you this before, has to be in trucks, because you're talking about #1 best-selling vehicles in North America. So it is so competitive between brands that they have to bring these little innovations, and it's why we see these crafty little implementations, and I'm a fan. 2023 Cadillac Escalade V. Now, here's another one that I just, baby, that one gets me going as well. I'll tell you what.
This is the one.
Well, that one gets me going just because it's like so ridiculous. The 700 horsepower SUV. I don't think it's just under 700 horsepower, but in an Escalade, like, are you nuts? It just seems so crazy. You know, the weight you're moving around there, but that's the point. I think that's why it's fun, because it's a bit ridiculous. However, Cadillac, GM, they know it's going to be ridiculous, and they're already implementing ways in which to try to deter people from just buying to resell. And one of those ways is through voiding warranties. And I know this is going to be controversial. People are not going to like this, but people also don't like it when they get bought up, put on the secondary market for twice the price because they're so hot and so many people want them. And it's really interesting as well that in a time where you have this march towards electrification, you have everybody talking and excited about electric, the companies at the same time putting out the biggest motors they've ever put into a number of vehicles can't keep those products on the shelf. It's a really interesting dynamic. Now, who knows? Global economic downturn, so forth. I mean, I think there's still enough. There's going to be enough people that want one of these, and there won't be that many of them made, so there probably will be a supply issue, but it is just kind of an interesting thing coinciding. But anyway, if you scroll up to the headline, Escalade V warranty reportedly voided after owner refinances the vehicle. GM's flipper fighting resale terms might be too strict. So in this case, simple refinance of the vehicle for them constituted or was within their terms not allowed, given the fact that they're going extremely strict on the ability to flip. And listen, they may have good reason for it. They may have internally, like, no other way of combating it. I don't know. You imagine how this could work. Well, you could have dealers, and I'm not saying this happens, but we can just speculate. You have dealers calling up their friends who are other dealers and saying, you know, I can get your name down. You're going to be one of the first to have it. And the whole intention is to flip from the get-go. So they need it in these contracts. Now, what was interesting, I was asking you about your Bronco because those were so backed up at one point, but I don't know if you had the flip paperwork or not.
So I did. It's actually 6 months that I can't flip it. And I think like 12,000 kilometers or something. But you know what's interesting? I asked my dealer at the dealership, like, what he's going to do with his Bronco. And he's just like, yeah, I'm going to flip it. No problem. It's like, okay.
But does he mean after 6 months, or does he mean he doesn't have to follow the same contract you did?
He means after 6 months.
He means after
he's
6
like,
months.
Right away, I got someone already.
So he'll do the bare minimum, and then he'll be flipping.
He's like, yeah, it's an extra like 5-6 grand.
No, listen, man.
You know?
It's rampant over here. Now, let's see. If you could scroll down, let's just see how long this term is, if it's the same 6 months or if it's longer. As GM Authority reports, an owner of one of the trucks who was not identified by name recently decided to refinance it. Soon after, they reportedly had some mechanical trouble with the vehicle and took it to their local dealer to get it repaired under warranty. That's when the trouble started. Oh, God. How brutal would that be? You've got a $200,000 truck that's brand new and has an issue, and they go, no, we can't repair it because you voided your terms. New owners must own the vehicle for 6 months before selling it. So you refinanced it, which for us constitutes a sale. This is a bit ridiculous. They should fix this guy's truck. I mean, he's the same guy with the truck.
Yeah.
But you refinanced it, which you're not supposed to do because it constitutes this for us, and so we're not going to fix it. Good Lord. The dealer informed the customer that the truck had a warranty block on it, and the dealer couldn't repair it.
Wow.
It's likely GM interpreted the refinance to be a change of ownership, even though the title is allegedly still in the owner's name. The vehicle's owner tells the GM Authority that they are still trying to work it out. I'm sure they're going to work this out in this case, but you can see how it gets flagged in the system, a simple refinance, and then it's all very complicated in 2023 when it comes to these vehicles. Speaking of recharging, you know, we were talking about the concept vehicle over there, and they were saying, oh, you're going to go from 5 to 80% in 25 minutes. What if you could go up to 80% in 15 minutes? These minutes count. And as an EV owner, This is one of the questions I get asked most. But how are you going to recharge it, and how long is it going to take? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Do you want to?
Well, I just think that this is the perfect scenario to replace the gas station, because you can just top up, right? And it will be less than 15 minutes. This is like a full charge in 15 minutes.
80%.
Yeah, 80%.
Yeah.
So like maybe just like 5 minutes, that's like the same amount as you would to get gas.
5 minutes and be on your way.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking solid-state lithium metal EV battery charges in just 15 minutes. Scroll down a little bit. QuantumScape is the name of the company. They've announced impressive performance figures for what will be the first commercially viable lithium metal solid-state battery. They claim it can increase the autonomy of an electric car, which is what Will's talking about, by up to 80%. Wow. And it can charge from 0 to 80% in just 15 minutes using solid electrolyte instead of the typical liquid solution. Solid-state batteries can store considerably more energy by weight and volume than lithium-ion batteries, but yet making a battery that is reliable and has a useful life appropriate to any driver's needs. High charge and discharge rates, long service life, and without any temperature or safety concerns has proven difficult up until now, up until QuantumScape did it. In volumetric terms, the new battery can store 1 kilowatt hour /L, about 4 times what the current Tesla Model 3 battery stores. By weight, it offers between 380 to 500 watt hours as compared to 260 watt hours per kg in packages used by Tesla. So what does that mean? It means not only are you charging faster, but it looks like we're getting more capacity as well inside of this technology. And I think that's what they mean by improving autonomy. I think not only are you charging faster, you're charging less frequently, obviously, if you've got increased capacity. So people are going to obviously be keeping an eye on this particular company. You can see some of the graphs and some of the improvements that's available via this tech. Now, maybe companies come along and either contract this tech or try to acquire the tech is possible as well. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, and it's definitely not financial advice, but
we need more.
But it just looks superior in every way. Yeah. I'm sure there's some downsides and arguments, and certainly reliability is one of them.
Sure.
Because anytime you're dealing with higher capacity or density, or there's other side effects, and hopefully they can figure it out. But they've raised a ton of money, and we'll see where they end up.
Congrats. You want to take a break?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's take a quick break. This episode is sponsored by Stitch Fix. It is time to discover your very own style. And according to them, it just got easier. And here's why, because they're actually going to pair you up. You're going to take a little quiz, an easy style quiz, and then they're going to learn the type of stuff that you're into, because it is a very kind of a personal thing. You might try to wear might be a little bit off the wall for me. Yours might be very specific. And so you tell them about your style or things that you like and don't. You might not even know your own style, but you might go through some different items. So it's 1,000+ brands they have access to. You can see a list of them over here, but I mean, you got the likes of Columbia, Vans, Adidas, North Face, Levi's. It's actually, there's a ton in there to choose from, and they're recognizable brands that you know for quality and so forth. And it's actually real people who learn your style, kind of curate your look, and send you items. Now, the items you receive, you get to try them on in the comfort of your own home. So you get to sit there and take your time. You're not all crunched up in any type of weird fitting scenario where the salesperson is standing nearby. Can I get you anything else? Are you fine? Are you good? You're like, why are you whispering over the top of the thing? I'm half naked over here. If you're not into a particular thing, guess what? It just goes right back. It's all ready to go, you only pay for the items that you actually keep. Quite a setup for those that like to simplify their lives, that are looking to find the most efficient way to keep the fresh look. It's expert picks, it's free shipping, and it's absolutely no commitment and no subscription required. You got to check them out. It's Stitch Fix.
Stitch Fix is the easy way to get clothes that fit you without having to endlessly scroll through options. They've got you covered with over 1,000 brands and styles you know and love, and they'll show you how to wear head-to-toe outfits so you can get dressed up and go. Right now, Stitch Fix is offering our listeners $20 off their first fix at stitchfix.com/LouLater. That's stitchfix.com/LouLater for $20 off today. stitchfix.com/LouLater.
Will just gave me like this here. Will just like, you're on. I don't know. He doesn't normally do that.
No,
because normally you do a thumbs up though.
Yeah, like the fade in and stuff.
This
yeah,
time you did like as if we were a real. You went, hey, in action.
I do a flip.
I don't know. I never saw it before, but like I said, you're constantly improving over there. So I just got to give a shout out to Orobot99. He's actually asking about these hoodies that I'm wearing. So this one is from House of Blanks. It's a local place, and they do extremely high quality hoodies. And they actually also do hoodies for other brands. So like a lot of luxury brands and whatnot.
Was it Stussy or something?
Yeah, well, they will buy from, and Supreme and others.
They're always sold out.
No, I know they're always sold out because it's high demand stuff. But actually, I think it might be because you're on extra small there as well.
Oh,
Go to the blue one. So the one in the top right corner. Oh no, actually, is there a darker blue? I think I have the darker blue on.
This one?
I think, yeah, navy. That's the one I have on. They're expensive. Okay, so fair warning, they are expensive.
Okay, this one's available.
But they're extremely heavyweight, high quality, if that's what you're looking for. Like this thing is like a substitute for a jacket. They say 400 GSM, heavyweight, cross grain, cut fleece, 100% cotton, Canadian milled fabric, made in Canada. The whole thing is made in Canada. Listen, I know this is not an ad or anything, but I know a lot of people have asked in the past, so just shout out for that. This one is not sold out. If you have $100, you want a hoodie that you can basically wear as a jacket and keep in the closet, like fully rep those guys.
All right.
Very cool. Anyway, and I just bought it. I just buy these things like just so people know.
Yeah.
I just buy these things and like them and whatever else. How about this news? Mercedes-Benz Drive Pilot becomes the first level 3 autonomous driving system to be certified for U.S. roads. Not Tesla, Will. Mercedes beats them to that level 3. Now, this, I believe, is just in Nevada specifically, but you know what level 3 means, right?
Fully autonomous?
Yeah, it very specifically means no prompts to put your hands on the wheel.
Oh, okay.
We're talking like no steering wheel necessary. That's pretty wild. Now, I believe that this particular approval is up to a certain speed. It's listed here. Maybe it's 60 miles an hour. Mercedes-Benz is celebrating because Drive Pilot, which is the name of their autopilot equivalent or full self-driving equivalent, sits as the only SAE Level 3 system in a production EV certified for operation as Mercedes looks to expand further west this year. It arrived on roads in Germany in 2022. However, it is now getting these approvals in North America. Drive Pilot is. So you have redundant steering, braking actuators, onboard electrical system, and any Mercedes vehicle with Drive Pilot is secure in safely handing control back over to the driver should any one system fail. So you could still be prompted to interact with it. Existing Drive Pilot builds upon the existing surround sensors of the driving assistance package that's already inside of an EQS, for example. Listen to this array of sensors: LiDAR, cameras, microphones to detect approaching emergency vehicles, road wetness sensors in the wheel wells to adjust behavior depending on road conditions.
And they all work together, I guess.
That's some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
But it is the first authorization of SAE Level 3, and it's in Nevada specifically. And it's not like US-wide. Complies with the requirements of Nevada Chapter 482A for autonomous vehicles and is now authorized to allow drivers to hand over driving under certain conditions, up to 40 miles per hour. That's what I was looking for.
So what are these vehicles for? Like for taxi or just research purposes? And then Nevada is just allowing them to kind of go through.
So the function Drive Pilot is available, is approved. So it could potentially roll out in consumer vehicles. They were showing it off inside of an EQS. It's just that level of autonomy hasn't been enabled on those EQSs. They're like on, kind of like how Tesla handles autopilot versus FSD.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a software capable unlock. I don't know if it has all the sensors or if they have to ship it in like the next version, but the approval means that people are actually going to be driving without being prompted to hold the steering wheel.
That's a big step.
Sooner than we may have thought and under certain conditions as suggested. And it is a little bit surprising that goes to Mercedes prior to going to Tesla, who's been there for so long. But I know they're close as well. I don't know what the holdup is, and I don't know if Nevada specifically is like I don't know if they're more lenient or if they're trying to adopt technology faster. Would it be an easier place to get this approval than some other state? Probably. I'm assuming. Like running the tech show and
right.
They're rapidly trying to be this technological hub, compete with the likes of Texas and other places.
They have F1.
They have F1 now.
You know.
There you go. DualSense Edge has a smaller battery than the standard DualSense, and the teardown reveals it. This is the one thing I posted a YouTube short on the new PlayStation 5 controller, which is this DualSense Edge, and it had all kinds of like fun little adapters and configuration options and an amazing little case, and like pretty much everybody loved everything about it except the battery life. People were like, "Yeah, good luck with that."
Yeah.
And I was curious about it too, just because of the cable stop. Like you have this contraption to lock the cable in place. And I was like, they must really expect that people are going to use this in a wired way.
Beyond that, this is a cool shot. I love like when it's fitted, everything's in there, all the components, and it's super cool looking.
Engineering.
Yeah.
Product design. Anyway, so there is a downside to having all this stuff going on and all these capabilities. In this case, it means they shrunk the battery down. And so some people are going to have to decide if that's worth it to them. The DualSense Edge includes a 1050 milliamp hour battery compared to the original 1560. That's pretty significant.
Dude, that's like 30%.
That was an increase on the PS4 DualShock's battery. Again, I don't know who the target audience is for this Pro controller. I would have loved to see it have better battery life. I presume there's a reason. Weight savings, size savings. I presume there's a reason that they were faced with this engineering decision, like having to go one way or the other with it.
But you're supposed to have an edge. So why?
Well, it's because I think it's because a lot of enthusiast style gamers just leave their controller plugged in anyway.
Yeah.
Right. They might have more of a desk style setup, or they might sit closer to a smaller monitor. So maybe they were thinking, okay, it can go wireless, but we don't look at that as the primary use. And if we have an option to give it, I don't know, potentially more features, but have to shrink the battery, like they made a compromise, obviously.
Yeah.
And by the way, the regular controller still exists if you want to prioritize battery. Just now don't go for the Edge model, just go for the regular DualSense, save some money, and get better battery life. Or just assume that you're going to be tethered a little bit more than you would otherwise. And that wireless would be the secondary thing. I mean, I understand why people are irritated. I know you want to have both. I want to have both.
Yeah. Can't have it all.
Well, no, I mean, well, we already knew that. BuzzFeed is going to use ChatGPT creator OpenAI to help create quizzes and other content. This was a big story breaking just as we were finishing our broadcast from yesterday. Listen, this thing is him infiltrating everything. ChatGPT. Like the number of people reaching out to me, this topic conversation. I was playing hockey last night. We're standing around the parking lot.
What's this?
Chatting.
GPT.
Oh my goodness gracious, man.
Here.
This has taken over and it is widespread and it is viral. Like I said to you, it reminds me of social media when social media started to come out. Hey, what do you, what's this Facebook over here? Or even MySpace or whatever. Like, I don't know how early we are right now, but
I think the idea of AI in general.
I just know that the technology has been being worked on for a while, but we seem to have hit some critical point in functionality and public awareness and virality that it's just wildfire at the moment. And you really try to catch and capture those things, which is obviously what Microsoft is trying to do at the moment, because they just don't happen that frequently that you have the public so engrossed in a particular topic all at once. And guys like us talking about it frequently all at once and all the implications all at once. It just doesn't happen very often.
It also is a very interesting topic to talk about.
It absolutely is, but it was prior to ChatGPT too. Right? There were plenty of people working on this stuff prior to that, but it like has to hit some sort of like critical nodes.
Yeah.
And some sort of general familiarity, for it to seem useful across the board, for it to seem like a thing that you have to know about in the general public.
Along with like image AI as well.
It's all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it's overwhelming, and people are really, people don't want to be caught in the FOMO moment. So they're like, tell me about it, because I've heard the keywords, so now I need to know. Well, anyway, BuzzFeed is kind of doing the same thing, and I think that their stock price benefited, which was a little odd. Because your initial reaction that this was a bad thing, or maybe not a bad thing, but you were assuming that people would be apprehensive about it. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't look to be the case based on the trading.
Jeez.
People love it. And so BuzzFeed goes in there and says, forget about it. AI, we'll lay everybody off. We're gonna be so profitable. And people are like, let me get some of that. I mean, they didn't say that. They said, oh no, humans are still gonna interact. It's like, okay, bud. All right, bud, you say that for now. But like, wait till these things are crushing. Wait till the performance on these articles is... And the odd thing is it's constantly training us. We are training it, but it's also training us when you start thinking about this stuff. And so to a point where we start to seek out those style of interactions that are so perfect for us. It's a double training component to it where we become... like our taste is in ways not manipulated, but altered possibly by consistent engagement with these systems. Like when you think about what an algorithm feeds you, how it gets to know you, the personalization capabilities of an AI versus a human who's kind of just like poking and prodding and guessing and also based on experience, but maybe doesn't know you as well. Maybe is lacking some inputs. So BuzzFeed, I guess the market seems to like it. It remains to be seen what the public's going to think about it. But they're going to have ChatGPT creating content for BuzzFeed. And they say right now it's going to be mostly ideas-based and for quizzes and things like that. But who knows? Who knows the level at which it's going to get integrated. Another place where it's getting integrated rapidly is Amazon, where apparently employees are already using ChatGPT for coding. And this is when you had that story where they said, careful what you put in there. This is the bosses, because they say it seems like we're feeding it information that might be, in some cases, classified confidentials type stuff because it's constantly learning. They also found that the AI chatbot can answer tricky AWS customer questions and write cloud training materials. This is, you know how many jobs sound like that? Like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm actually in the AWS customer care department. And what about you? Well, actually, I distribute the training materials for cloud. And this like ChatGPT is like, so do I. So do I. And guess what? I don't need a paycheck.
Or dead.
So you're not going to be able to stop it. I know when it comes to the kind of like tedious tasks, initially the convenience is so compelling where it's just like, oh, I'm just going to conversationally. I got it, Will. I'm just going to conversationally.
I think Mo's got it.
Wow.
He's outside right now.
Mo was quick on that.
Yeah. He's running.
Maybe I'm just going to conversationally do this coding instead. Maybe I'm going to use the tool because the tool is so useful to me. It's going to save me time. But you're training your very own obsolescence.
Oh.
You're training your... you are... And how fast? I don't know.
Well, that's what I was doing, right? I was telling ChatGPT to write a title for me on YouTube.
Yeah,
clips.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. Oh, how did it go, by the way? Did you get any?
Fascinating findings, I would say.
So how many clip titles right now are AI?
I would say they would, mainly I would look for keywords,
right?
Not the actual literal title.
Interesting.
So
I mean, we
we
should let it actually name some clips.
Sure, yeah.
And then see if people that watch the show can pick out the AI generated titles versus Will's titles.
But even when they spit out like a title, I can be like, hey, give me something more vague and then more vague. And then they would just
conversational
keep on going down.
Oh,
yeah.
Hell yeah, buddy. Hell yeah. It is kind of poetic though, that you are training your very own obsolescence.
Yeah. My own demise.
Yeah, that's right. It's a death by 1,000 paper cuts or whatever they say. The real zombie fungus, I think that kind of means something else, but whatever. Yeah. You're training your own.
Yeah, that thing.
You're training the killer. You're training your own killer.
Got it.
Just give it time. The real zombie fungus that inspired HBO's The Last of Us. A lot of people, I don't know if everybody knows that it was inspired in such a way. Humans will probably never face a fungal apocalypse, but in the insect world, mind-controlling fungi can pose a serious threat. And this was like, what was it on? Was it Planet Earth?
Yeah, about mushroom cordyceps.
Yeah.
Fungi cordyceps.
Fungi can take over ants' minds, killing the host and using its body to spread spores to others. Let's go. Wow.
Let's go.
I mean, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
I understand you're saying it's kind of grim, but it is like, my goodness, nature, it has all of it in it. If you look hard enough, it's all in there. And I love having some kind of real world connection that floats into fiction, right? And replaces it just somehow feels more believable. In the zombie realm, there's been all kinds of versions of how it goes down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this one, I like that it draws inspiration from an actual thing. In typical zombie apocalypse stories like The Walking Dead, World War Z, and Train to Busan, a virus quickly transforms people into bloodthirsty monsters. But in The Last of Us, it's a little different. Pathogen-carrying human hosts are not undead. They're still alive. And it's not a virus that's infected them, but rather a fungus. I don't mind.
Yeah, it's based more on reality.
Oh, there you go.
Science.
It was part of Planet Earth documentary series. The fungus takes over the mind of an ant. So anybody who didn't know this particular connection, you can actually look into it, and you should definitely seek out the Planet Earth clip because it is fascinating.
Yeah, like there's fungi that sprouts out from the ant. Ugh.
Oh, it's beautiful stuff.
Ugh.
And so here we have a mycologist from the university, West Virginia University, who says it's not that far-fetched to me. He's saying the show. The fungi in the show, he likes it. They are stranger than fiction. Fungi is stranger than fiction. We actually share quite a bit with it. We have a weird relationship with it, Will. It's far more advanced than we're aware of.
Yeah.
Fungi is complex. And it takes over ants in some circumstances, and you're next, Will. ChatGPT, how do I avoid the takeover?
Can you save me?
Yeah. ChatGPT is like, sure, I'll just kill you later.
Yeah. Slow death.
That'll kill you now. I'll kill you later. Diner is stumped over a bizarre charge on receipt. Well, we had the clip recently where we were talking about tipping. You remember this? And wages have gone up massively since you have the tap tip and the four selections, which we were talking about, seem to keep increasing.
No thanks is like this tiny little button.
That's right. Okay, so and the awkward moment of pre-tap and then being looked at as you're like, and you're like,
judging you,
highest,
standing right beside you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because they have to bring the ATM machine.
I'm sorry. Anyway. This is a new one, so people are already aggravated enough, and some are turning off tipping altogether. In other words, some people are bailing out of the situation altogether, which is also a bad thing, I suppose, for that market. But this is a new one. What about if on your receipt you saw an employee health charge? So if you scroll down, you'll see it circled on the receipt itself. That's what this girl is mentioning. I don't know if she's complaining about it, she's mentioning it. So this has nothing to do with the tip. The tip still exists, but this is an extra one, which is 5%, which is labeled employee health.
It's $5?
In this case, it's 5% of the total. There were only 2 guests here, and the total wasn't enormous on this particular bill. It was actually a video that was posted by a 33-year-old who pointed out both herself and her friend were charged $4.75 on top of their food and drink items, despite knowing exactly what they were not knowing exactly what they were being charged for. They paid the fee, then discussed it, and I believe they actually flagged down a staff member, and who then said this was to pay for healthcare services for the staff. And obviously people are split. Some people think this is outrageous. This is not their responsibility when they go to a restaurant, and you're hoping that the business itself is taking care of some things, or the person is taking care of something. Like, imagine how out of hand this can get.
Yeah.
Childcare and rent,
babysitter tax,
Netflix bill,
internet bill.
It's like, wait a second. Wait a second. I got to read this thing more closely here. I'm paying for all kinds of stuff.
Paying for the server's well-being. Literally.
I mean, I'm all for health and whatever else, but it just seems a little bit sneaky to, like, all this stuff just showing up as a line item and not being aware of it. It's, I don't know. It's a really interesting one. Probably they're experimenting with it. The fact of the matter is, though, it works. Yeah. When you slip it in there, and my understanding is even the tap and tip is, like, it's working. People they're just
so easy.
Yes, they're just tapping. They're like, okay, fine. Next thing you know, you're trying to get a sub at Subway and it's $40, and you're just like, what the hell just happened? Yeah. Because you got tap crazy and you paid for the health care and the Netflix bill. Yeah. And you're like,
car insurance.
And you're like, damn, dude, what just happened to me? I feel like I just woke up from a dream.
I just want a meatball sandwich.
Yeah. It gets pretty wild.
All right, last one.
Scientists find elusive, grumpy-looking cats living on Mount Everest. How cool looking is this cat? Like, he just looks so fed up with it. He's like, man, I got no oxygen up here. It's Mount Everest. But then at the same time, he looks like a wild cat, but he also looks like a domestic cat. Yeah. What is the name of this species? Pallas cat, known for their facial expressions, which I presume don't always look so grumpy. But you remember there was that grumpy cat that was extremely viral. I believe that grumpy cat has passed on at this point. Yeah. But this grumpy cat, when I started on YouTube, this grumpy cat was going all over the place to all the events and just crushing the numbers on YouTube. But even this cat looking more or less grumpy depending on the situation. But they had all kinds. They had merch with the grumpy cat. They had, was there movies or books with? There was a movie of the grumpy cat.
I think so. Yeah.
The grumpy cat met Stan Lee. But little did we know that there was an actual. That nature was also responsible for the OG of grumpy cats. Yeah.
This is what I look like when ChatGPT takes my job.
That's right. When you realize you have just trained ChatGPT into
very dissatisfied
how to take your job. Well, apparently there's actually quite a diverse set of wildlife up there in Mount Everest. It is a very unique environment. And a team of researchers embarked on a National Geographic expedition to Mount Everest in 2019. During the journey, the team collected their samples of their poo samples. Look at that. From 2 different locations. The samples came from sites at over 5,000 meters, 16,400 feet elevation. Damn, that cat's up there. I wonder what it eats. Birds, I guess. The team published its findings in the winter 2022 issue of the journal. It's phenomenal to discover proof of this rare and remarkable species at the top of the world. DNA analysis of the samples confirmed the cat's presence and showed they had likely been dining on weasels and pikas, which is another small mammal. And the discovery of this cat on Everest illuminates the rich biodiversity of that remote high alpine ecosystem, and also the specialization of these creatures to do well in these unusual environments. Are you going to show me if there's any other grumpy one? Oh, they're pretty...
Hey, this one's not bad.
Less grumpy, maybe hunting.
This one looks a bit dopey.
Give me Google Images and we'll see.
Don't mind that one.
Just how grumpy they get. Oh, that's pretty grumpy. Yeah, that's pretty grumpy. It kind of look like a grumpy old man in some of these. You know? Get off my lawn type thing. Clint Eastwood type thing. which you're familiar with.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
turn into that from
him.
time to time. Yeah, all depending how things go.
This one's not bad. They're cute.
You're getting one.
Yeah.
A little companion for
Otis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the grumpy. I feel like this cat would probably destroy Otis, actually.
Yeah.
If they
For
go toe to toe, it's quite possible. Look at that one. Look how grumpy he is on the next one. Only that's grumpy as well. But look at this one. See, he's grumpy as well.
Oh yeah.
Cool. All right. Mount Everest, grumpy cats. We covered a lot of things here today. Thank you very much to everybody who joined as per usual. Remember, everyone, if you want to join in on these live broadcasts, just make sure to hit the notification bell because you will be notified every time we go live or possibly even before we go live. So you can just be part of the party. You can party with us. We can find all the unknown and rare species of animals living at the top of Mount Everest. And why wouldn't you want to do that? We can also talk about how ChatGPT is going to take all of our jobs, not just Willie Deuce. It's going to be mine as well. Like the future version of me is just like it's just a body sitting here. It's a mummified version of me. And then ChatGPT is going to just be text to voice. And it's going to be a synthesizer of my, and it's going to be feeding you exactly what you want all the time. Aren't you excited? Nah, don't worry. I'll put up a fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay here for a bit.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, guys. See you later.